temperature. Hi! Happy Monday, April 23rd. We are back. There was no way I was not going to have this gentleman on the show, Bryan Jacobs. Let us know you can hear us or see us. Welcome back to the TED Show. It's Monday afternoon at the Citrus Club on kind of a dreary day. But we really want to know that you're here. We want to know that you can hear us or see us, because I don't know if you know this, Bryan, but the last time I didn't ask that, I had people who honestly couldn't see or hear the show, and so they didn't. It didn't record. So Jim Dembski's on. Jim, let us know you can hear us or see us. That's the most important thing. Give me a thumbs up. I hate to get into all of Bryan's story. Scott, how are you, buddy? So people are on. So they're going to give us a thumbs up. They're going to let us know they can hear us or see us. And you obviously have some people on, because I don't know who Sargina is, but you must. All right, so we've got a thumbs up. All right, so welcome to the show, bud. Thank you for coming over. Alana, our friend who's in the background in the audience, we can't show her. Hey, Mary, because she doesn't want to be shown. She introduced us. We're here. Yay, we love you. Your story's amazing, honestly. So give us a little background on you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Citrus Club. And kind of tell us a little bit about you so the audience knows more.
Oof, man.
You can start when you're born, but literally let's not be at first grade at 25 minutes after.
Okay, I'll tell you. You know, it's funny. My story actually, even at birth, is impactful, because I was born a five-pound baby, but I was born to a mom who was 4'11", and I died 3 times at birth. And
wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, it started out that way. I was a medical miracle. What was even more crazy is that during that birth process, I was crushed in the birth canal, and so it crushed my tympanic membranes, my vocal cords, and so I could not hear or speak properly for like the first 7 years of my life. And I, even as a child, still remember going to a school. I know where the school's at, is in Virginia. And you could either go through a blue set of doors, or you had to go to the left and go through the red set of doors. And I always remembered I always wanted to go through the blue set of doors, because that's where all the regular kids went. All the
Seriously? No, I'm talking to Alana about this. All right, you weren't supposed to get me all teary-eyed in the beginning. That's actually powerful, because people don't realize that you'll never forget that, right?
No.
So what an impact that had as a child. But how did your parents, how did your mom handle that? So you had crushed vocal cords, you couldn't really speak well till 7. What did that look like? Did they have to put you into special therapy, hence the doors?
Yeah.
And you sound amazing right now, so that must have been a lot of work on your part.
I was deemed handicapped by the state of Virginia. And these stories obviously come out later in life that I learned all this. And I just, I had an awakening. One day I heard my name, and one day I looked, and they said it again, and I looked again. And then I started reading street signs, and I started reading building signs, and my grandmother would take me to the shipyard where my grandfather worked at, so I could read all the signs and practice every day. And I still remember her to this day. Her name was Nanaw, because I couldn't say grandma. And so
I love that.
Yeah, so everything was different. And, you know, so I was the firstborn. I was the test child, you know, as we, as you do, like you take toys away. But I was different. You know, I was very loved by my mother's family, which is, you know, how, as I tell people, you know, food came to choose me in my life. My grandfather was a World War II chef, and he immediately chose me at a very young age and said, hey, you know, what do you want to cook for dinner? And I still remember having my hot chocolate, him having his coffee, I had cornflakes, and we would be writing the menu. And this whole farm to table, or whatever it is, it didn't exist. That was my life.
Well, of course. But how did it transpire? So are you an only child?
No, I actually had a younger brother. I have a sister, and it's crazy the path that leads to where I am today, because I wouldn't. You don't get brought into this world with the siblings and the family you love, knowing that that their loss is going to impact your life in a different way.
Agreed.
You know, you think you're going to lose your mom, your dad, your aunts, your uncles, you know, these type of people, far before you lose somebody super close to you. Super, as I used to tell people, I'm my brother's keeper. I am responsible for that little life.
Right.
And what brought me to where I am today is because of that little life has been taken out of my life. I was very blessed in the fact that I was raised in a house full of love, but I was more blessed knowing I was raised in a house full of family. And having a brother and a sister changes the way you think and feel in life.
Sure. It's not all about you.
No, it's never about you. And that's when you think about the word, what family means, and it's what it means to come together at a table and break bread together and have, conversations and be a part of something different. It always resonates back to those days. We all talk about, you remember those days,
right.
Remember those days.
Right.
But we still need to live those days, and I can't live those days anymore. And this, what I do now is because of a loss that I can never replace, but I could maybe impact someone else's life that they don't have to feel that.
You
loss.
lost your brother. That's what you're saying.
I did. I lost Kevin in 2014 to veteran suicide.
Sorry.
This 22 a day we hear about, it's more like 50 a day. It's even closer to home because it's not just even a son, it's a daughter, it's someone's father, it's somebody's mother. I mean, these things are, and it's just not even from veterans, it's from everybody who's dealing with trials and tribulations of trying to survive in life and not having as I say, a dull spark in a dark tunnel. As I tell people, his passing gave my life purpose. And I've decided instead to take something so impactful and let it ruin me, to let it change other people's lives. I was very blessed to have the mother I had, because I wouldn't be the man I am today without that woman.
That's a blessing.
And I actually lost her a year after I lost my brother.
Sorry.
A lot of people say she passed from MS and the COPD complications, and I almost feel it was more of a broken heart.
Sure.
I mean, no mother plans on burying their child.
No.
Both me and my brother, we served in combat together in 2003 as I was a battlefield paramedic, and he was a Marine. And we both knew that we had signed Sullivan Act to go. We wanted to fight together. We wanted to serve our country. We come from a long lines of service, and it meant something for us to go forth and do that for our country, especially together.
So you went together.
Together.
I mean, how difficult that must have been for your family. I can't even imagine.
My poor mom. That's all I can say now is my poor mom. And I don't.
What were the discussions like? Because I think that it's absolutely. First of all, thank you for your service. I think it's just amazing. I just have such a. You cannot cry, Alana. No, I love the emotional part of it. First of all, thank you for sharing that too. Honestly. Because I think what happens is that we as a country become so desensitized, and so we hear about the 22 and we see the videos and we see things like that, or we see stuff going on our TV, but we're not impacted necessarily, so it doesn't resonate with us. And so for you all, for your family, it obviously did, but you both came back.
Both came back.
And so without getting too deep, what is it, but you can get as deep as you want, what is it about service over there? What is it about being the frontline paramedic or your brother serving? Is it just, it's such a foreign thing to watch? Is it just all of the destruction and death and constant challenge to you living? What is it? Because I think people don't get it. They go, you know what, thank you for serving, and they know that it's something way above their own brain, but they don't understand how much that changes you.
It was the only time in my life where, every day we walk these streets and something can happen to us. In this, you knew that each second could be your last. And you didn't care about you. It was not about you in combat. It was about the guy and the girl, or to the left, right, front, and back. Because someone had your back.
Because that takes, we talk about it. Those of us who haven't served, I have your back. I'm here for you. I've got your six. And the thing is that I believe we do, but over there in combat, in serving our country, that is a completely different thing. You can't understand it unless you've been in it.
Right. It's, I've had a lot of people who've asked me, they're like, what was it like over there? And I said, I have to watch war movies and I've seen this, and I said there's not words that can, it's not even what you saw, it's what you felt.
Sure.
And it was the feeling of it was such an unknown, but you had to drive that out of your psyche to get the mission done. You had to drive it in order to make sure the guy to the left, right, front, back was safe. And we all had to think that same way. And that's what, the only great thing I can say about the military that they truly have done, they've created a brotherhood.
Right.
And they've created something that is undying, is that it doesn't matter when you served or how you served, you still get it.
Right.
It doesn't matter when you get out. You could be from Vietnam, World War II, Korea. There's something about the fact that you understand that feeling.
So you get out. So that's the part I do want to talk about. Is that you get out and you transition, right? Or you're supposed to transition from being in the military, from being in, you have constant order, basically.
Organization, yeah.
Organization and order, and then you come out to civilian life. Thanks, Shirley. You come out to civilian life, and then there isn't anything for you here.
No, it's...
So how does that? So talk about how that worked, because you've come so far, and we eventually are going to talk about the amazing things that Bryan is doing. But I think it's so important for the audience to hear what you went through in order to get there. So you come out, and you are in a world that's completely foreign to you. It's different than when you went in.
Yeah, completely. Not only is it different, but you have no identity. And this is what really veterans suffer from, is identity crisis. And I know that sounds so crazy, but when I was in the military, I was only allowed to be HM3 FMF Jacobs. That's it. That's who existed. And he was revered and loved and praised and awarded and sought after and talked about in such a positive manner. And when I got out, Bryan existed.
Right.
And who the hell is Bryan?
Right. You don't, because you've changed since the Bryan who went in before. Then you're a completely different person, because it creates a whole new world, a whole new persona. You are attached to that. And then when you come out, there's no attachment. There is no brotherhood. There's nothing. There's no order. There's nothing. And so you're forced to be in a position where you have to figure out how to maneuver your way through this other world that you're not used to.
And you're playing catch up.
Right.
And so people who've gone to college and who have sororities and frats and grew up in the same town, they've got so many years ahead of you. And now you have to, literally, if you want it, you have to figure out how to survive.
And so how did you figure that out? So you obviously, something happened. You have this innate, I can tell, and you talk about it. You have this light. We talked about the light. So you've got this light in you. But it doesn't mean that it was easy. So I don't want to minimize what you went through. So you come out and you're like, what in God's name am I going to do? And so what happened after that? How did you persevere and get to the point where you're like, okay, I know what I need to do?
Well, actually, I fell on my face as soon as I got out. And I did it in such a way where I was in a really bad relationship, a marriage actually. And I ended up homeless from that. I was living in a Honda Accord. This person took everything who I was trying to become out of my life.
How do you? Oh God!
And
how do you become homeless? I don't mean this in general. I mean as somebody who served our country. Oh, this is one of my biggest things that I get on a soapbox about. I just don't understand how we allow that to happen. It obviously happened to you, but you're also used to being the self-sufficient human being. Yeah. So asking for help isn't necessarily the easiest thing for you, I'm guessing. So then there really isn't any help if you ask for it, is the problem.
Not at that time. And not even now. Not even now really help exists. There's outlets of opportunity, but they're not necessarily true opportunities. I mean, there is so much that goes into it. And, veterans, we're from a world of we can do it. We can't do it on our own, but we don't realize there's no team supporting us anymore. And we try to figure it out, and most of us, like myself, I went through 23 different jobs. I was selling stuff, I was mowing stuff, I was then the craziest thing, the only job I can get in the medical field after being a level 3 trauma technician, serving 2 tours in combat overseas, was to draw blood.
I just,
That's making $8.50 an hour.
How, so when you're going through that, you're like, all right, so I was, say it again,
HM3 FMF Jacobs.
Correct. You're that person, and then you're out here in the world that's not in combat. But you're basically combating this insane world
Right.
that doesn't understand how to accept you or figure out how to place you anywhere.
Right.
And so, all right, so you go through 23 jobs. That's insane. You go through 23 jobs, and then what happens? Like, where is your breaking point, or where is your epiphany where you go, all right, I have to do something different, or this is what I'm supposed to do? Because you obviously have hit it.
I had a voice hit me, and that voice, it was something that my grandfather used to say to me, and it was out of this world. And
What was the voice? What did it say?
It said, "Son, get your life together, because no one else will for you."
Great.
And for some reason, his voice was what was resonating in my head, and the only thing I knew I loved was food. And so I said, I'm going to go to culinary school. I'm going to continue to follow in the footsteps of a man who meant something to me. And that was him. You know, I didn't really grow up in a great, father-son relationship. My father had some trials and tribulations with me. I didn't think I was his son, and treated me different my whole life because of that. And even until I was late 20s, didn't really say he was proud of me. Didn't say, never heard the words "I love you."
That is so, as a dad, I can't imagine that. So how do you obviously have done amazing things. So we're going back. Remember, there's a positive, amazing story at the end, and a success story. But I can't imagine not saying that to my children 900 times a day, to the point where they, honest to God, do not want to hear it anymore.
Right.
Because I overdo it, but I would rather I didn't grow up with that, but not in that same scenario. So I understand the importance of it.
Right.
So you had to overcome, you personally, and this goes back to the voice. So you have the voice, and the voice says, all right, we want you to cook.
Yeah.
That's your thing.
Yep.
This is your key. This is your entry out of the insanity that you're living in.
Yep.
So you decide to go to culinary school.
Go to culinary
Had anybody had you been involved in culinary? You had cooked with your grandfather.
Right.
But other than that, did you cook throughout? He wants. I know, Shirley. Did you cook
Thank you.
throughout? Shirley's amazing. Did you cook throughout your time in service? Or did you just kind of let it go?
I was a battlefield paramedic in the Marine Corps. I cooked a little bit when I was younger, but nothing significant.
You were doing the amazing work, which is to save.
Yeah.
You carry cookbooks. You had to tell me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, tell us about you carrying cookbooks.
Yeah, so
she's come out of her crying fog, which is fine because I'm about to go into it. But you brought cookbooks?
I
Talk
did
about that.
too. So I brought cookbooks to Iraq with me, 2 cookbooks, and I still have them today. They're on my shelf. To combat. To
combat?
Yeah. So,
how do you... All right, aren't you... Isn't it like Survivor where you get one thing you can bring?
Yep, and I buried them in the back of my ruck, and I would read those anytime I wanted to take my world back where I belonged. And I always tell people, food chose me at such a young age. At that 8-year-old mark, it said, this is what you're going to do with your life. It may not may not become this piece of your life, but it's going to be what's so impactful in your life. And I didn't realize that food was using me as a tool, because when I came out of all this, came off the street and came off battling PTSD issues and trying to find a purpose in life, or a passion, should I say, because I was looking for a passion, food reached back out to me. And it said, this is what you should do. And it became such a therapeutic piece to my life, and I got it. I just understood it, and it spoke to me, and I loved everything about it, to grow it, to find it, to forage, whatever, to where, everything. I just wanted to know everything about it all. But that's what made it so special, is I got it. And by understanding that, it gave me so much opportunity, but I didn't realize is that food is such an important facet of art.
It is. I think people underestimate how important how much of an art it is, because I can't cook. My kids know that I can make a cheesy bagel. That was it. You put the American cheese on the bagel and you put it in the toaster oven. My wife's an amazing cook. But there is such an art, such a talent to it, to understand how to get through a recipe or not use a recipe or create a recipe.
I'm about to blow your mind with what I call a recipe.
All right, tell me what a recipe. No, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. I love the fact that you understand that it's an art, because it really is.
It is, because what it is so, not to fast forward too much, but when I lost my younger brother in 2014, I started a program called Vet to Chef. And what Vet to Chef meant to me at that time was really about just getting someone off the street, giving them a boot camp, giving a veteran an opportunity, not a hand out, but a hand up.
Sure. And
giving them a place in life where they could be something more than what they were. And because I remember being that person. I remember being so lost and so unloved and so just uninvolved in the world.
So who came? Was there one particular person? I'm fascinated by this story. Was there someone who said, "All right, I believe in you, Bryan"?
It was this chef. His name is Hans Shadler, and he owns a restaurant. He used to be in the Williamsburg Inn in Virginia, and I was sent to him as an intern, and everybody was like, "Ooh, no, not him. He's gonna mistreat you so bad." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna go do what he tells me to do."
Right.
For some reason, that is so foreign to so many people.
Well, again, this goes back to your military training, though. So here's the thing. Most people, our age group, well, no, you're way younger than me. Our culture doesn't want to be told what to do on any level, even if it's in your best interest. So we don't respond well.
We like to learn by mistake.
You were trained to do what you were supposed to do and to listen. So what a benefit for you to be able to work with him, because probably somebody like me would not have done well with him, because I'm not used to that.
Right.
But how amazing for you. I mean, that seems like the perfect match.
He was awesome. But what was amazing is I had learned so fast that he gave me the best opportunity in the world. Now, we all watch a show called MasterChef. We've heard of it.
Absolutely.
But there's actually really master chefs in this world, and I was sent to one of them.
Wait, they're not real?
No, they're super real. Like 60. There's only like 64 in the world.
Wow.
Max. And I got to mentor under one that was probably one of the most amazing people I'd ever met. He not only became a mentor of food, but a mentor of life. He took his life, actually. Master Chef Peter Timmons, probably within months after my brother. And I was taken back.
So how do you come back from that? What's your coping mechanism with that? Did you just dive into food? Did you dive into your art? No, he doesn't work out. You can't see his arms at all. Lord have mercy. The gym, perhaps. But what did you do? Because we all have our coping mechanisms. Because the saddest part is because of the 22. I worry all the time about my friends that are vets. Mm-hmm. And so there can be any kind of trigger, anything that could trigger, and you just don't know, because I don't care if you're on it 24/7. It's very difficult to keep on top of it, because sometimes they don't know either. Right. And you just can't believe it's happening. So what was your coping mechanism? What did you dive into after you lost your brother and then your mentor a couple of months later?
I started this program literally weeks after my brother. It's called Vet to Chef, and it was just a program. But I really didn't understand what it needed to be at that time. I know it needed to I looked back at my life and looked at all the things I needed. And this gets into what I call the recipe of life. And
I love that already.
And what I do is I try to, and I tell every veteran who comes through the program, I said, what's your favorite recipe? Your favorite thing you would want to cook if you were on death row, and I hate to put it that way. Or if you're in combat and you're going on the last mission that you're going on, or at the last supper, what is that you want to eat? They all come back with these recipes, and I'm telling them all about it, and they're so excited because they want to cook that dish. And what I've tried to what I explained to them is that they too are a composed plate. They too are all these ingredients on their own dish, and that I make them research how long and how many steps it gets for this ingredient to arrive here. because I want them to understand that the process of their lives has to go through something in order to end up on their final dish.
Seriously.
I
I mean, oh Lord. All right, so you are seriously. All right, so he's single. All right, that's what we've just literally established. You're impacting lives with this. You sound incredibly in touch with, and I believe you are, with your emotions, where you're at.
Yes.
This has got to be like, you're much more evolved, I feel like, than I am, because I'm about to be a blithering idiot once we go off camera. Or I could do it now. Just be careful. Watch what you say. And I can't listen to Alana in the background. She's the worst, honestly. I love her, but she's Louise. So you take this program and you're impacting lives, and then every single day you're doing good for the world, and yet you're still building your business. You're still building your brand. Talk a little bit about, so I can not cry, your brand and you and what you're doing in your own career. And then I want to get to Vets for Success. I want to get to all of the things. See, lots of hearts. These people love you.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit about what you're doing, because I saw the picture of you and George Bush, 43.
Yeah, 43rd, yeah.
But talk a little bit about what you're doing, because I want people to know. I don't want them to leave and go, God, what do we do? Do we throw money at Bryan? No. He's a successful chef and has a business, and let's talk a little bit about that.
So, I'm very blessed in what we do. I am a private chef. It's kind of how I tell myself, we're a hospitality consultant. That's probably the best way to say it.
I like that.
I do that, very part-time. I also work for Goodwill Veteran Services, and I help veterans find employment, but I also help them find a place in the world, give them a perspective on life that they don't necessarily have. Vets to Success is what it is. It's about giving veterans passion and purpose through food and brew. Because if you don't have a passion...
I like the brew part.
The brew part's really going to be unique. We have Vet the Chef right now, which has been running for about, this will be our 4th year. And then we had just started Vet the Baker. Vet the Baker is so unique because we had a Marine from Vietnam come out. He was a baker in Vietnam. He's got an amazing story. He was the creator of the Subway roll, no lie.
No way.
No way. Super cool.
One of my favorite rolls ever.
I can't go wrong, Subway, right? He's the dude. He came out. But the thing is that I don't know how to say these things. Like people like Alana, people like you, even today, come into my life and make an impact just as he has. And it wasn't something I didn't reach out to these people. These people have come together for the right reasons. And he came out and said, I just want to help. I want to make a difference. And we put together a program, another 12-week reintegration program. And it's about reintegration through food, using food as that outlet, because we all have to eat and we all have to continue to eat the rest of our life. And so to give veterans, or even we'd love to get to the spouses eventually, but we have to secure enough funding to take care of the veterans. And that's a lot of misconception that there's all this money available for veteran programs and all these things.
Listen, people, if you have not watched the show and understand that there is no money for veterans, you have lost your mind. You have to go back and watch all 162 episodes, because there isn't. There really isn't. And you all, unless you've been in 20 years, and I'll say it because I'm a civilian, you don't have you have no retirement, no pension. So if
it doesn't roll over.
If you worked 18 years as a veteran, if you were there and served, 18 years is not 20.
It's gone.
You're gone. It's over. So you come out and you have nothing. This is why I hear people, it's very ignorant. And I was one of the ignorant people. I didn't understand. When they come out of our armed services, when they're 18, 17, 15 years, 19 years, and you have served, you get absolutely nothing from that.
Get a goodbye.
You get a goodbye and maybe an appointment 4 months from now at the VA.
Yep.
Maybe. So please understand that they have no retirement when they come out.
Yeah.
So no wonder the transition is a challenge.
Yeah.
You've served 8 years at a company, most of us. Seriously, you get something. All of us get something. You have at least an IRA with $500 in it.
Something.
You get nothing with them. So I actually had somebody, after I had a vet on, comment and go, well, they've got this brilliant, wonderful pension, and I almost lost my mind. But I was also uneducated before, so we don't know.
Yeah, it's there's so many things to it. I mean, I could go for days. I mean, there's a lot of great movement going on now for veteran movements. I mean, but it's going to take time yet again. I mean, it's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. The government does have certain funding, but it takes time to appropriate those funds and put them in the right process. But
so, what's your dream goal? Because we are. There's a ton that's missed. So Lori is a friend of mine, and she's a big vet proponent, like I am. Hey, Lori, what is the biggest? What's your biggest dream? What do you want to accomplish? Let's say 1 year. What are your goals? What do you want to do? What can we do to help?
Oh man, wow! One year from now, I know where I want to be.
Tell us.
So,
because we want to help you get there.
I've been working on a great concept, and I feel like this is where we talked. You just spoke about it, and it's about this being uneducated, and I want to stop this circle of veterans who are being put into a box, and because people are uneducated. I mean, we live in Florida. There's not that many military bases. There's MacDill and maybe a couple of Army and a Coast Guard here. But what it is that we're still two groups that have so much similarity, can learn so much from each other, and there's so many questions from our civilian brothers and sisters, but there's so much that can be done for our veteran brothers and sisters who want to reintegrate.
Agreed.
And so we've been working on a restaurant concept. This restaurant concept is all about where veterans can find their community, a community can find their veterans, all through good food and brew. And what we want to do is we want to continue to impact our homeless and displaced veteran brothers and sisters through my programs, which is cooking and baking and brewing beer in a similar style of restaurant concept that will educate our civilian brothers and sisters about life in the military. Give them a military experience when they come through the doors. They come onto my quarter deck, they see my colors, they sit at the Pentagon, they learn about the acronyms and what is an 88 Mike or what's the Medal of Honor, who is Chesty Pooler. They get to dine in Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, shop in the PX, go to the rec deck, go to E Club, to O Club.
That's very cool because then they get a perspective that we would have never gotten before because we don't understand. And part of the problem, I think, with employers, people in general, is that we think you serve, and then we don't engage after that. We don't understand what that means, and then we don't understand what that means while you're in service and post-service.
Right. And we want to become a hub for that. We want to become the hub where everybody can come to and pay it forward, where you could come and have a meal and your dollar is no longer just going to, I mean, we all see companies who pay it forward, which is great, but what about the community we live in?
I agree.
What about the veterans that live on these streets in this community where you come and all you do is have a meal, have a beer, have a drink, and that dollar is impacting those people who work there because they're in the programs. And you're changing the family's life in that community.
Correct.
And you're making your community better just through doing things you love, food and brew.
All right, so we are way past time. There is no way on the planet, you should not apologize. There is no way on the planet I was going to stop this. So we're going to share all of Bryan's contact information, website. He's got an amazing Instagram account that I need to tag.
Bryjac, B-R-Y-J-A-C.
And I'll have to get that even though Alana told me 750 times. I did not remember. That is just old age. Any parting words of wisdom for them? I feel like there could be like hours and hours of shows about your passion for people and your story. You have a survival story. And I think a lot of people are afraid to tag it like that, but I don't think you are.
No, I'm not.
And I love the fact that you shared some incredibly intimate, personal moments because everybody's responded. That's why you see all the hearts and people are commenting. So any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share with them before we head out?
Well, the only thing I can really say is that when everything I had gone through, it made no sense why I was going through it at that time in my life. And I challenged everything about it, and I challenged why it had to happen. And I finally come to understand that everything in my life has had to happen the way it had to happen. All the pain, all the loss, all the trauma, all the drive and the focus, and I've put it into a little bit of words that I use, and it's, the journey only makes sense and the journey doesn't make sense until after you have lived it. And I live that because I realize that with all these great things that I'm going to do tomorrow, there's going to be something negative associated with that.
It's true.
And that's going to have to happen in order for that positive to make sense. And so anybody who's going through something, anybody who's dealing with lack of love, relationships issues, loss, hurt, pain, loss of job, it had to happen. And be okay with it had to happen because it will make sense one day. It may not make sense now, but it will make sense one day. I promise.
Agreed. All right. So, can you even imagine? I haven't bawled. Like, it's insane. You are such an inspiration, Bryan.
Thank you.
I mean that. And you can't make up the passion and love that this man has for people and for life. And it's truly an honor to have you on the show. I appreciate you.
It's been a blessing. Thank you.
What a blessing you are, honestly. And Alana, thank you for bringing him on the show. I can't talk. It's terrible. All right. So we love you guys. Thank you for putting all the hearts up. I honestly believe we have to support our veterans and support people. And we don't do a good job at it. We really, really don't. And so let's embrace him and let's show him that we as civilians can do that. So thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing your heart.
This is my competition.
This is it, right? Oh, yes. Say it.
So last thing, before I get everybody here, right now we have been selected as one of the top 10 finalists in the StreetShares.com competition, partnered with Sam Adams. If you go to StreetShares.com, go to the foundation page, and you can vote for Vets to Success, VETS, the number 2 success. And I'm Bryan Jacobs, Team Navy. You voting will impact a veteran's life. You will allow me and the team that is associated with me to continue to do what we can do, not only in just the community I'm in now, but in a community close to you soon. And that's the goal of this, to be able to make this happen all across the United States, to make an impact so another family doesn't have to deal with losing a brother, losing a sister to suicide, a father, a mother, and just to be able to say that you've not had to do anything but vote, and you've made a difference.
Just amazing. Voting now, Shirley says.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we'll share all of that contact information in the URLs in order for you to vote when we post the video.
Vote from different emails.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and you can vote from different emails.
Which is good, yes. Share. So we're going to put all of that. I promise you, we're going to share everything that Bryan had to say, and Alana in the background, who's been awesome.
She's awesome.
Oh, see, Maxine will vote too.
Thank you so much.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for all the love you showed Bryan. It was such an amazing show.
Thank you.
You didn't tell me I was going to be emotional.
I apologize.
No.
You didn't hear all of it. That's the thing.
Yeah, no. That's for another show. Wow. I need a few more cocktails. You're a blessing to all of us.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Take care.